Markets are rallying this morning on the great Greek bailout, which was reached
in the
at,
green for the year.
yeah, what's actually been achieved and announced at 4 this morning in Brussels?
Well, it's a little bit tricky to tell exactly because even people who work in credit markets are a bit mystified. But we know the situation is quite complex. You've got these sovereign bonds, then you've got the banks and insurers that own them, and there's concerns about the fiscal viability of Greece and so on. But then there are these European agencies like the EFSF and the ECB, and basically it looks as though they've kind of done a deal so that you can, if you're a bank holding Greek debt, have a voluntary swap program for something underwritten by the European Union generally. So there's no credit default swap event, and yet Greece gets some kind of bailout alongside their own efforts at austerity. The same with the Italians and so on and so forth. So, like, it feels a little bit like they've stood up and said, yes, deal, all's good, euro saved, we're off, but the actual mechanisms are a bit tricky to understand.
And the JSE's in the green for the year, finally. Because of this, global markets are rallying, hurrah. That's the general acceptance. I guess it's better than the alternative, right?
Yeah, no, we knew that the big macro issues, which have been the overhang, have been concerns about China's slowdown. That didn't seem to be valid because they grew 9 point something or other. This European thing, and then in the US, is sustained indications of economic upturn. So we've seen the
Just
non-farm
remind me that
payrolls.
we'll actually get confirmation today because there's a GDP number.
So there's the first Q3 reading, which I think is going to show something around, what,
2.4%.
Doesn't sound like a double dip to me. Where's the recession that these bears have been talking about? Idiots. I think it's time, in fact, if you are managing money and you've been sitting on the sidelines because you thought the Eurozone was going to fall apart and that the euro itself was going to crack, well, it's time to throw in the towel and accept that you don't know what you're doing, because it's obvious that these European actors have been planning to work out some sort of workaround, and now we've got it.
But in typical European fashion, solved at the last minute. Okay, and just quickly, give me 20 seconds, your take on this 20-kilometer or so march from the middle of town to the Sandton CBD to an economic freedom march.
Well, it's in line also with these global occupy this, occupy that things. I mean, this is how politics changes because people identify and mobilize around popular issues. So I'm not against the concept itself. I mean, I think everybody's looking forward to see how far some of these out-of-shape youth league fellows can get.
18 kilometers. Wow.
That's not a small distance. Even if you're walking at 10 minutes a K, that's going to take you a while.
That's going to take a lot longer.
I think the thing's going to be a debacle, but we shouldn't be mean to people. It's nice that they get out and get some fresh air.
Exactly.